Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the complete beginner's guide to mining in EVE Online. This noble guide will cover just about every basic aspect of mining that you could ever need to know. We'll start by looking at your first days mining in Adventure and work our way through how mining barges work, ice and gas harvesting, and even briefly touch on some of the more advanced areas of mining. So let's get started with the absolute basics. What is mining and why should you do it? In its simplest form, mining is the act of getting in a ship, equipping at least one mining laser, finding an asteroid, locking it up, and shooting at it. Sounds easy, right? Well, yes, mechanically it pretty much is that simple. But if you really want to start earning the big bucks, then there are many more steps we need to work on before we become the turbocharged rock muncher that you always dreamed of. Mining is an important part of the EVE universe, and without it, there would be no ships, no modules, no citadels, nothing. EVE's economy is almost entirely player-driven, with only a few exceptions. Without industrial players harvesting space rocks, New Eden would be a very dull place. Players drawn to mining are normally lured in by one of two things. The first being the more passive playstyle that mining encourages, allowing you to pad your wallet whilst being semi-AFK and only checking in every so often to make sure your lasers are still running and your hold isn't overflowing. On the other side of the fence, there are the players that want to push the limits of what they can mine in order to maximize their profits. Deciding whether you should sell your ore or use it to make your own modules and ships is a topic that we'll discuss a little later on and is important to understand when trying to make the most ISK possible. For now though, let's take a little look at what your first days mining in EVE Online might look like and what to aim for next. As some famous guy once said, a man is only as good as his tools. And whilst I'm not entirely sure what he meant by that, it's actually quite a fitting analogy for EVE. The first tool that you need to get your hands on is a ship known as the Venture. The Venture is a popular entry-level mining frigate, ideal for beginner miners and gas harvesters. We'll talk about how to get hold of a Venture in a moment, but first let's talk about why the Venture is such an important place to start your mining journey. Whilst you could technically fit mining lasers to just about any ship, the Venture has a few important features to take note of. Starting with the Venture's mining frigate bonuses, we have a 5% bonus to mining yield per skill level. We'll cover skills and what to train properly in a moment, but in short, having the mining frigate skill trained to level 5 means you can get a 25% increase to your mining yield. The second mining frigate bonus is a 5% reduction per skill level to gas cloud harvesting. Gas harvesting, also known as huffing, is a topic I'll cover later in this video. Next, we have the Venture's roll bonuses. Roll bonuses do not require skills in order for their bonus to apply, and they're a key part of what makes a mining ship better than any other class of ship for mining. The first roll bonus is the 100% boost to mining and gas cloud scoop yield. This means that you immediately double your mining yield, or you could see it as having 4 mining lasers instead of 2. The second roll bonus is the +2 warp core strength bonus. This is exceptionally useful when mining in lower security systems or when huffing gas in wormholes. As a warp scrambler has a scramble strength of 2, the Venture equals it out with its warp core strength of 2. As a result, the Venture is able to warp away safely without being scrammed by a nasty pirate. One final but super important feature of the Venture is the 5,000 cubic meter ore hold that comes as standard with the ship. When mining in a ship without an ore hold, you'd likely be filling up your cargo hold after only a couple of cycles of your mining laser. The ore hold is a dedicated space, designed specifically to hold large quantities of ore, allowing you to mine or transport ore more efficiently. So now that we know what a Venture is and why we need it, how do we actually get one? Well, there are a few different methods to getting a Venture, but I'm only going to cover the 2 methods that make the most sense in my mind. If you've already been playing EVE for an amount of time, but you want to dip your toes into mining, then just buy a Venture from the marketplace. Finish watching this guide and get out there and start hoovering up some space rocks. However, if you're totally new to EVE Online, or perhaps you want to learn more about being an industrialist, then the best way to get a Venture is to follow the Air Career Program's industrial path. In addition to the Venture, completing this path will reward you with skins, skill points, mining modules, ships, and more. You'll be encouraged to speak to a mission agent, who'll reward you with a Venture after completing a couple of simple missions for him. So, you finally have your first proper mining frigate. What should you do next? Well, we need to equip our shiny new Venture with mining-specific modules. But before we do that, I just want to touch on skills to make sure you always have something ticking over in your skill queue. There are a huge number of different industrial skills on offer to us, so how do we decide what we should be training? Well, I have good news. CCP have very kindly put together 2 skill plans which are actually a really amazing foundation for capsuleers looking to dive into mining or industry as a whole. To begin with, activate either the Alpha or Omega Miner skill plan that can be found under the Industrialist category in the skill queue window. If you're an Alpha pilot, use the Alpha plan. If you're an Omega, then use the Omega plan. These skill plans are a great way to easily set yourself up with a few core skills such as mining, mining frigate, industry, reprocessing, and more. The Alpha skill plan will only take a few days to complete, whereas the Omega plan will take upwards of a month. I won't go too far into what each skill does, as you'll likely start to understand what you want to train next as you go. Now let's go back and take another look at our venture and work out what we should equip it with. In the high slots, we need 2 mining lasers. The particle bore compact mining laser is the metaphor equivalent of the Miner 1, and this will be your best bet for the early stages of mining. In the mid slots, we have a 1 MN afterburner of your choice, a medium shield extender to add a little bit more tank, and a survey scanner which you can use to identify what is left in the asteroid that you're mining. For the low slot, as an Alpha, a nanofiber internal structure will be your go-to. If you're an Omega pilot, however, then you'll want the mining laser upgrade module. This module increases the mining amount bonus by 5 to 9% depending on the tier of module you're equipping. It is however locked behind the Omega pilot license, so you will need to have an upgraded account to truly max out your profits. For the rigs, you can just chuck on a small EM shield reinforcer, a small thermal shield reinforcer, and a small core defense field extender to improve your defenses a little bit more. And with that, your very first mining vessel is complete. You now have everything that you need to get out there and start making some steady ISK. But wait, what's that? You want to know what your next step should be to boost your ISK per hour even more? Well, okay, you've twisted my arm. The Venture is a great ship to get you started, but it does have its limitations, so I think our next step is to look at what ship we should train for next. There are 14 different ships in the Ore faction view of the ship tree. Depending on the style of mining you enjoy the most will depend on what vessel you should train for. Let's take a look at each ship and understand their use cases. Starting with the frigates. We have the Venture, which we've covered in depth already, so I won't go into too much detail, but as we know, this is one of the first mining ships in the game that most players have access to. It's useful for mining ore or gas harvesting when you don't have the skills to fit something else, or it can be used for mining in dangerous areas of space, such as wormholes or nullsec, thanks to its warp core strength bonus. Next, we have the big brother and sister of the Venture. The Prospect is basically the more advanced version of the Venture. It comes with an additional 5% bonus to mining yield per expedition frigate skill trained, as well as the ability to fit a covert ops cloaking device, meaning it's much easier to navigate those dangerous areas of space. It does not, however, share the same +2 warp core strength bonus that the Venture has. Then we have the Endurance. The Endurance can be used for ore mining, but its predominant use case is for harvesting ice, and also does not have the +2 warp core strength bonus. Next, let's take a look at the backbone of the industrial world, the mining barge. The mining barge is the next obvious step for any miner looking to max out their income, and is almost certainly the next step you should aim for as a beginner to mining. There are a few differences between mining in a frigate and mining in a barge, and we'll cover those differences in a moment. But first, let's talk about what each of these different ships actually do. There are 6 mining barges in total, 3 Tech 1 variants and 3 Tech 2. Whilst every mining barge is guaranteed to harvest a significant amount of ore per cycle, each barge has its own unique bonuses and each exists for a slightly different purpose. Let's take a quick look at each of them, starting with the Procurer. The Procurer is the tankiest of the Tech 1 barges, and is designed to take a beating from any ship that attempts to tackle it, and is equipped with a 16,000 cubic meter ore hold. Per skill level, this ship boosts your shield hit points, improves strip miner yield, and has a reduction to ice and gas harvesting duration. In addition to this, the Procurer bonus grants it a 50% drone damage and hit point boost, allowing you to fend off attacking rats and frigates. A typical fit for a defensive Procurer is 2 strip miners, 1 multi-spectrum shield hardener, 1 10MN compact afterburner, 2 mining laser upgrades, 1 damage control, and for the rigs, 1 medium core defense field extender, 1 medium EM shield reinforcer, and 1 medium thermal shield reinforcer. The Skiff is the Tech 2 equivalent of the Procurer. It has a bigger ore hold and functions in the same way as its Tech 1 counterpart, although it has the additional Exhumer bonuses, offering improved shield resistances, further gas harvester duration reductions, and an increase to strip miner yield. The trade-off of the Procurer and the Skiff is that they mine less than the other barges. as their bonuses are more geared towards survival or fighting back. Perfect for if you're constantly getting tackled by frigates or harassed by belt rats. Next up, we have the Curvator. The Curvator is the poster boy of the mining world and is designed to literally strip asteroids from the belt in the fastest possible time. The Curvator has mining barge bonuses to strip miner yield, ice and gas harvester reduction, and a 6% bonus to strip miner and ice harvester range, as well as roll bonuses that reduce the duration of mining and harvesting modules by up to 30%. A reduction to harvesting module durations means more ore per hour. A typical fit for the Curvator is 2 strip miners, 1 survey scanner, 1 medium shield extender, 3 mining laser upgrades, 2 medium core defense field extenders, and a medium processor overclocking unit to make sure we have just enough CPU to fit everything we need. The Hulk is the Tech 2 variant of the Curvator, and similar to before, fills the same role, but has some additional bonuses, including more shield resistances, more strip miner yield, and a further reduction to the duration of all harvesting and mining modules. These ships were designed to be part of a mining fleet. With mining boosts, these ships can literally tear asteroid fields to pieces, but due to their 9,000 cubic meter cargo hold that fills up quickly and weaker defences, they rely very heavily on a support fleet to collect the ore and keep them protected. Finally, we have the high-sec favourite, the Retriever. The Retriever is a favourite among many, myself included, largely due to its modest mining yield and large ore hold. This ship is far from flashy, but fits the role of solo mining barge perfectly. It has a 27,500 cubic meter ore hold that increases with skills. This means as a solo miner, you're going to spend more time harvesting ore and less time warping back and forward trying to empty your ore hold. Both its mining barge bonuses and roll bonuses improve yield, whilst reducing duration, making it a well-balanced ship. A balanced fit includes 2 strip miners, 1 10MN afterburner, a survey scanner, 3 mining laser upgrades, 2 medium core defense field extenders, and 1 medium EM shield reinforcer. The Tech 2 variant is known as the Machinor and is largely the same, but has bonuses that further improve upon the Retriever's bonuses with the addition of some shield resistances. The Retriever and the Machinor are your go-to ships as a solo miner, especially if you plan on AFK mining in high-sec. Now that we've covered off the differences between each of the mining barges, there are a few things that you should know about them. Firstly, mining barges use strip miners as their harvesting module for ore, and there are 3 different variations of the strip miner module. Strip miner 1s act just like the mining laser on your venture. Lock up a rock, fire away, and you'll harvest your ore. Modulated strip miner 2s are designed to be used with mining crystals. Mining crystals come in a number of different flavours. First, you have to identify what you're mining, and then find the crystal that is suited to that particular ore. You can find out which crystals are used for which ore by checking out the item description on each of the crystals. Let me give you an example. Let's say I want to mine some Veldspar. I would need to use a simple asteroid mining crystal. But should I be using type A, B, or C? Well, the difference between the 3 types boils down to efficiency. Type C is for when you need to clear an asteroid field quickly, but with low yield. Type B is to harvest faster, but with an increased amount of residue or waste. And Type A provides much higher yields, but at the expense of time taken. The final strip miner is the modulated deep core strip miner. This variety of strip miner is designed to mine Macoxite, which contains a rare mineral called morphite. Whilst mining Macoxite, there is a chance that a gas cloud could be released. This gas cloud will destroy your ship if you're in it for too long. The modulated deep core strip miner reduces the chances of this cloud appearing, making it easier to harvest. The last thing that I want to mention is that mining barges are significantly more expensive than a venture, and unfortunately, there is a rather unsavoury side of the EVE universe that enjoy killing mining barges, even in high-sec. You've probably heard it before, but don't fly what you can't afford to lose. This is especially true with the Tech 2 barges that cost hundreds of mil to replace. We've spoken a lot about frigates and mining barges, but what about the other 5 ships available to us in the ore line of the ship tree? Well, only 3 of these are actually mining related and are slowly falling outside of the scope of this beginner's guide. Just to touch on them briefly though, we have the Porpoise, the Orca, and the Rorqual. Each of these ships are capable of providing support to a mining fleet in slightly different ways. Each of them can provide mining boosts through mining foreman bursts. The Porpoise and the Orca can also equip a medium or large industrial core module, allowing them to provide buffs to themselves, as well as refine ore in space to allow for more ore to be carried. The Rorqual can equip a capital-sized version of this module, in addition to using excavator drones and the pulse-activated Nexus Invulnerability Core, which is a sort of panic button, granting the Rorqual and its fleet invulnerability for a short while, providing just enough time for the defense fleet to arrive. As I mentioned though, these ships fall out of the scope of this video, but please let me know if you'd like to know more, and perhaps I can do an advanced miner's guide in the future. Now that we've got the ships out of the way, let's talk a bit about ice, gas and ore, where to find it and what to do with it. So how do we find our desired resource? Well, I have good news for you, as it's pretty easy these days. Open up the agency window, click Resource Harvesting and click Asteroid Belts. From here, you can select the ore type that you're looking to mine. Please note though, certain ores can only be found in lower security parts of space. For example, Jasper is often found in low-sec, or Macoxit is only found in null-sec. If you're a beginner to mining, I would recommend sticking to high-sec for now and leaving the higher value ore until you have a better understanding of why you need to mine it. You can also use the agency window to find ice fields. As before, click Resource Harvesting in the agency window, but this time, click on Ice Belts. Gas works in a slightly different way and cannot be found via the agency window. Gas sites have to be scanned down using a probe scanner and can be found in low-sec and null-sec, but are more common in wormholes. There are many different types of gas clouds, with gas worth varying amounts of ISK. Once you've scanned down a gas site, warp to it, lock up the cloud and fire off your gas cloud harvester to start huffing. So we've covered the different types of mining ships, how to harvest and how to find what we want to harvest. But what should we actually do with all of our gas, ice and ore? Well, this is a bit of a difficult question to answer, as there really are a ton of different factors that need to be taken into account. For example, what skills do you have? What is the current market value of a specific ore? Are you selling in Jita or to your alliance? Whilst I can't give you an exact answer, I can at least give you some direction. The three most common things to do with your harvested goods is to either sell it, reprocess it, or build with it. Let's talk about selling and reprocessing first. The simplest way to make ISK from mining is to just straight up sell your ore on the market. No questions, just easy money. Alternatively, you can reprocess it. Reprocessing is the act of breaking down your ore into minerals that can later be used to create ships, modules, and more. You can make more ISK by reprocessing your ore and selling it as minerals if you put in the investment up front. This investment is lengthy and can be costly, and involves leveling reprocessing to 5, leveling reprocessing efficiency to 5, leveling specific ore reprocessing skills to 5, improving station standing or using player-owned stations, and using the bean counter implants. Even after all of this, if you're not selling your minerals in the right place, or at the right time, there is no guarantee that you will make more ISK through reprocessing. Next, we have manufacturing. And I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole either, as manufacturing is a video all on its own. To be a miner and a manufacturer at the same time will take many months of training to achieve, but it is absolutely possible and can be very rewarding. You can reprocess the ore you mine to build ships or modules from blueprints and then sell them on the market. Be warned though, as the ships you build without skills invested into manufacturing will likely earn you less ISK than it would if you just sold your ore outright. Ice and gas are also useful resources within New Eden. Much like ore, these can be sold outright on the market, or they could be manufactured into things like fuel, liquid ozone, drugs, and more. Anyway, I think that's it for today's complete beginner's guide to mining in EVE Online. There are plenty of other areas of mining that I haven't gone into today, such as fleet mining, capitals, and moon mining. If these are topics that you'd like to know more about, then let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to check out some of the other content I have on my channel, and maybe even drop me a sub. Else I'll hot drop you when you try mining in low-sec.